Then it's time for, that's right.
You guys, I think we'll go ahead and get started.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
So good morning.
Good
Hope
morning.
everybody's awake and happy. Awake? I'm kidding. Anyway, you guys, I would like, as always, my name's Gretchen, in case I haven't had the privilege to meet you, but I meet everybody in new employee orientation, so I hope I've met you all. But otherwise, as we always do, before we get into the introduction and introducing you to Lisa, if you could just please join me in prayer. Blessed Lord, we thank you for getting together today. We ask that you continue to guide us in your mission, and I thank you for each individual here at Stonehill who helps make that happen every day in their service to the residents. Bless each and every one of these individuals in this room. Keep us all heading in the right direction, and keep us mainly working with each other with wonderful acts of kindness and love. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
So today I'm really happy that we get to have an hour with Lisa Schaefer. Lisa has an incredible background and incredible energy, so if you're tired, you won't be in a minute. And she moves around a lot, so those of you in the back row, watch out. She may come back and see you. Anyway, Lisa has some terrific background as a coach, a counselor. She does a lot of wonderful sessions. She is a speaker that goes around the state. You probably go outside of the state, I'm sure. So hard for me to even keep up with Lisa, but she does a really wonderful job with things, so I hope you enjoy today's session. You know, we do a lot of great things here at Stonehill, and I know that's because of each and every one of you in this room. And I'm so proud that you guys own what you do to do such wonderful things for servicing our residents and their families, and even those people that just come as visitors, because it takes every one of us to do that. As we continue to work on the employee environment, I think it's really important that we take this kind of time to really invest back in you, and to have you have this kind of exposure to people like Lisa, who can really help us, what she's going to call, do 1% better. So as Lisa continues this conversation with us over the next hour, I want you to know that you already know this, but every interaction you have with residents, every interaction, not just 5 out of 10, but every one of them, with residents, families, each other, it matters, right? If I have one good interaction with you, and then I come back and have a bad interaction with you, which one are you going to remember? The bad one. At least I know that's what I would remember, right? So it's really critical to know that every interaction matters. So as you sit here today, I hope you enjoy today, but then what I want you to do is then do your part on making things better and making every interaction matter as we move forward. So with that, Lisa Schaefer.
All right. I love it, my friends. Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. I'm excited to be here. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, 6:45 is a great time to do a presentation. Woohoo! I love the fact that you guys are in what I call helping services. Thank you so much for all the awesomeness that you do, because, my friends, you bring compassion and caring to this organization. And one of the things that I want to share today is really this important mindset of compassion and caring. And like Gretchen said, our theme of the day is, what can I do to be 1% better? Now, I'm a counselor by trade, and I like to do a lot of assessments and finding out mindset, because our mindset definitely indicates how we go through a day. So I'm just going to do a quick assessment. Are you guys ready for a quick assessment? Woohoo! I can feel it. How many of you guys woke up today and you're like, yeah, this is going to be a great day. I'm excited to come to in-service and learn a little bit more about some awesomeness that I could do to be better at caring and compassion. How many of you are like, I just finished up my night shift. I'm excited to be able to come into another hour for a session before I go to bed to learn a little bit more about what I can do to be 1% better. How many of you are thinking to yourself, woohoo! I'm happy to be here. I love Stonehill. I love the people around me. I'm excited in life. How many of you are feeling this happy stick? I got a couple. All right, I got a couple. All right? How many are like, oh, Lisa, it's been a long night. Oh, it's way too early. I'm not sure if I'm really excited about an in-service. She's not going to tell me anything I already don't know. All this customer service, blah, blah, blah. Anybody feeling this that's ready to admit it? There you go, okay. Sometimes, my friends, we get into what we call the grumpy stick. And the grumpy stick is one of these things that really looks at what is our mindset. Because our mindset gives us the chance to go through a day with either positivity or a little bit of negativity. Now, sometimes, my friends, we might do this. How many of you might start out, woohoo, it's going to be a great day. Oh, you got that email or that resident that wanted something. Or you know what, there's free donuts in the break room. Yay! Oh, I got that phone call. We may bounce back and forth, but the goal, my friends, is to really think about truly your own mindset towards service. What is it that makes you somebody that I want to interact with? Because within 90 seconds, I've already determined if I'm going to participate with you and if you're going to help me feel good. Because within 90 seconds, we're asking ourselves, can I trust you? Do you care about me? And can you help me? Within 90 seconds, our image becomes important. And if we're in the grumpy stick and somebody interacts with us within 90 seconds, are they excited to see us? No. We want to look at how can I stay within 90 seconds to be in this positive attitude, even though there might be situations that can cause some negativity, I'm going to still try to see the best and respond in a fashion that helps us. So as you look at some of these things, how many of you woke up and you're just thinking to yourself, you know what, Lisa, I can't impact anybody. I can't do anything because I'm just a. Is anybody in here? Just a. I love when I go to some of these organizations and they say, you know what, Lisa? Well, I'm just the janitor. What am I doing? Guess what? Do you realize just a janitor means that you're keeping a safe, cleanly environment to reduce sickness and encourage health in an organization? Or if you're just a CNA, where are my CNAs? Have you gotten some of that sometimes? Well, you're just a CNA. You're not just a CNA. You are helping people with their daily duties and encourage them to continue to move forward. Again, you're never just a. So our goal in customer service in our mindset is get rid of just a. Well, I'm just a. I can't do anything about that. Ultimately, knowing what your strengths are, because you're not just a. So I'm going to ask you real quick. How many of you have some strengths? How many of you are like, I'm still working on them? All right? Life, my friends, is about learning and 1% better. I'm going to ask you just real quick with somebody you're sitting next to. What is a strength that you bring to this organization that helps people want to engage with you? What is a strength that you bring to the organization that people say, man, I want to work with her or him? What is a strength that makes you awesome, my friends? So with somebody around you, and hopefully you're sitting next to some people, share with me one strength that you think you bring to this organization. Are you ready? Go for it. What's a strength that you bring to this organization? Why do I want to work with you?
Yeah, there you go. That's true.
I am always, and I don't ask my CNAs.
That's a double. That's a double.
I spent 45 minutes.
My friends, how many of you have ever thought about your strengths before? How many of you sometimes focus on all the things that maybe you don't do so well? I want you to focus on some of your strengths and what can you do with those strengths to make them even better. Is anybody willing to share a strength? What makes you awesome? What makes you awesome, my friend?
I try to be positive all the time.
Woohoo! Kathy,
Yeah.
I love it. Positive. You know what? Positivity can be key. And what advice would you give to the rest of us? And trying to stay positive when things aren't just going so well. Because, oh man, sometimes on full moons, there's some weird things that start to happen. What do you do to stay positive? What advice would you give, Kathy?
I think it's easier to be positive than negative.
It's easier. It's easier because you feel like you have control of your life. And oftentimes, if we have control, we basically say to ourselves, you know what, this too shall pass. And we will do the best I can in this situation right now. So I love it. Thank you, Kathy, for being positive. Take some sunshine with you. All right, I love it. What's your strength, my friend?
A smile will get you a mile, a frown will get you down.
Oh, my Lord. Can I, use that later in another process? I love it. A smile. Repeat Repeat that one more
A
time.
smile will get you a mile, and a frown will get you down.
Woohoo! So keeping that smile going. Which, by the way, my friends, do you realize a smile is one of the easiest things to do? And it is one of
And it
those.
makes less lines on your face.
It does. It totally does. It burns calories. Look at all these positives, right? But how many of you sometimes suffer from RBF? You're like, what's RBF? Please consult your friend next to you. It's a resting bee face, which sometimes makes you feel kind of negative. Sometimes we have to look at a smile as approachability. In service, the more we can smile, the more approachable we come, and people trust us automatically. Now, some of you are like, really? Just a simple smile? How do I smile when everything's falling apart? See the light, find the humor, and again, move forward. Because you know what? Sometimes people are frustrating. How many of you wish people would do everything you want them to do the way you want them to do that? Woohoo! Okay? How easy is it to smile when all of a sudden, can I pick on you, Emily? Okay? All of a sudden, Emily isn't doing what she's supposed to be doing. Way to go, Emily. Geez, how come you're not doing this paperwork the way it's supposed to be done? How come you're not checking this the way it's supposed to be done? Why aren't you following through on stuff? How hard is it to stay smiling? It's hard to stay smiling when we start judging. So one of the big tips in really looking at how do I provide better service and stay positive is, you know what? I'm going to stop judging Emily, and I'm going to try to figure out how can we work together and help Emily. Because ultimately that smile becomes important. And it's easy when everybody gets along with us. It's challenging when we see differences. But I love it. A smile will get you a mile, my friends. Fabulous. What other strengths do you bring to the table that you want to do 1% better? What strengths do you bring to the table? Why do I want to come here and be a part of this organization with you? Why do I want to live here? Because, my friends, you are coming into people's homes. It's amazing, right? Why do I want to live here and work with you? What's your strength? What other strengths do you bring? You're like, that's it. We have 2 strengths. Don't ever do anything else. What else? I'm going to see if my friends, yeah.
Okay. I never ask anybody to do anything I won't do myself.
Okay. Don't ask somebody to do something you wouldn't do yourself. Okay.
And do myself.
And support, and being able to ask for help, though, when you do need help. And being able to encourage and support each other. Okay, great. Thinking about these strengths, my friends, because, my friends, I want you to shine. The strengths. Think about what your strengths are, especially when you're working with people who may be a little bit challenging. How many of you have heart? You love what you're doing. Okay? I mean, it depends on the day. I love it only on paycheck day. Woohoo! But if you're loving what you're doing, that's heart. How many of you are sharing ideas of what we can do to be even better than what we are? Okay, sharing those ideas, looking at how we improve. How many of you, again, want to network and want to get to know each other, to build a common bond so that you can empower and encourage each other? Because I'm going to ask you right now, just turn to your friend real quick. Tell them one strength you think makes them awesome to work with. Your chance to now give feedback to somebody. What's one strength that you think makes them awesome to work with? What are they bringing to the table from your perspective?
And we hope and work with
I don't stand it around. I will occasionally say, is there any way you could...
So, my friends, what are the strengths? What are the strengths that they bring to the table? What'd you hear? What'd you hear?
The nurses help with the CNAs.
I'm being able to help. Yeah, I'm going to transition. I don't care what your title is. Let's work together. We're all part of that team. There's necessarily trying to encourage and uplift each other.
Yeah.
Love the strength. Encouragement. Okay? I can, again, instead of just getting frustrated and going, and walking away, I can stop judging and start asking and encouraging you. Again, that becomes important. That reduces sometimes what we call drama. Has anybody ever had drama in the workplace? Have we had some of it? It sounds like we might have had some of it, right? We have some of it because we see things a little bit differently. So instead of judging, we can start encouraging. And what do we need to do to kind of meet in the middle to encourage and uplift each other? I love it. Thinking about your strengths, my friends. So I want you to think about strengths that you bring to the table and how you can continue to grow those strengths. Because it becomes important as we build connections with people. We are in the people business, my friends. We're constantly trying to build relationships. with our internal customers as well as our external customers. And understanding that how we treat each other as colleagues definitely is felt by people who live here, my friends. How many of you have ever walked into a home and you're like, ooh, there's some bad energy going on up in here. I wonder what's going on. And you start to see some of the drama. Again, we want to be able to have that. What can we do to reduce some of that? How can we encourage and support? So that's an excellent strength to continue to focus on. Well, as you look at these things, my friends, I want you to think about how many of you have ever gone through some change. Anybody gone through any change?
Oh, yeah.
Woo! Because our change can impact some things. Now, I love this movie. Is anybody a fan of this movie? Okay, I love this movie. Now, going through change and trying to network and do things differently. How many of you are like, you know what, Lisa? I'm going to make sure things happen. I'm going to get some things done. My thoughts about change are, you know what, this is probably going to be helpful. We're going to try to move forward. We're going to see the best, even though it might be challenging. Who's this little fabulous minion? Because your thoughts, my friends, impact your behaviors. You know what? If I think Emily's a rock star, I'm going to be supportive and help Emily. But if I think Emily is just over here and change is not such a good thing and change isn't something I want to be a part of, don't put Emily on my shift because she's a pain. Stay away from her. Where are you at? During change, do you find yourself here or here? Because this is where we want to focus on as well. Because ultimately, your thoughts become your behaviors. Your mindset indicates how you see things and how you perceive things. And if you drive change, if you thrive on change, or if you get stuck and just say, I just got to survive. Is anybody in survival mode today? I just got to survive today. Just got to get through it. Okay? Being able to be aware of that process becomes really important for us. So as we look at customer service, we've got some pillars. The pillars of the day: attitude, interest, action, verbal language, body language, and tone. Who's gotten some good body language lately from people that you knew ultimately you wanted to hang out with them? You got some good stuff? Did you get some good body language? Nope. Have you wanted to give some body language? Oftentimes, oh yeah, right? How many of you have ever walked out to your maybe your a residence room and it was challenging, and you walked off and you did one of these? Anybody ever done that? Has anybody done the subconscious eye roll? Maybe you were in a meeting and somebody said something you thought, oh, I don't know, and you did one of these. Is anybody subconscious eye roll? Oftentimes I say be careful in service because people can pick up on our nonverbals really quick. And people don't always do what they hear, they do what they see. So if they see you walking out, oh, okay, I saw that. Are you rolling your eyes at me? Who's got kids? How many of you ever want to go, you're going to roll your eyes at me? What's your problem? You can see body language. I tell you, teenagers are excellent at nonverbal communication. What are they doing? Walking like this, doing this, keeping their heads down, frustrated. You see nonverbal communication. People don't do what they hear, they do what they see. If you agree with that, just give me a quick A-OK and keep your A-OK up real quick. So again, if you think everybody's kind of does what they see, keep your A-OK up here real quick. Put that on your chin for me. I just want to check to see everybody's okay. All right, where's your chin at, my friends? What'd you do? I said what? I said chin and you put it here. People don't do necessarily what they hear. They do what they see, right? So when we're done with this class, we're going to take an A&P class and let everybody know where our chins are. We do what we see, my friends. We do what we see. So tell me, what are some things I'm going to see if I come upstairs? What's awesome upstairs? What am I going to see? What am I going to see? What am I going to see you doing? That makes awesome customer service. What am I going to see you do?
Interacting and
Okay. Perfect. What's that sound like?
it should be good.
I love that you said should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Will I hear it?
For the most part, I think so.
For the most part. I'm hearing, good morning. How about if a big good morning is one of the biggest things? How many of you forget to say good morning and you just grunt?
Oh, no.
As you walk by, okay? Say good morning. If I go into a resident's room, what am I going to hear?
How was your night?
How was your night? Okay. Well, my night sucked. You guys ever have grumpy growler? Grumpy Growler? Okay. I had a grandpa, his name was Growler. Sometimes he is grumpy. We call him Grumpy Growler. We'd come in and he'd be like, how's your day? It was terrible. He was an agitator. He liked to pick on you once in a while. So again, and you think to yourself, oh, he's a little grumpy today. Let's still stay positive. Let's have some fun with him, right? Let's encourage him. Let's move him forward. But you're hearing some of those things. What else am I going to see or hear upstairs?
I don't work upstairs, but when I walk through, I notice that they all, if somebody in a wheelchair or sitting, the staff come down to eye level.
Awesome. Being able to do some of these simple pieces just like that, communicating, getting down to that eye level, not to have kind of that superiority type of thing. Okay, what else am I seeing? What else am I seeing?
Smiles.
Smiles. Because it's going a mile. What else am I seeing? What am I hearing? Makes you awesome. Who's hearing good stories from families? Who's hearing stories from families that say, you know what, you totally impacted my loved one's life? Who's hearing positives from each other? You know what, I loved working with you on that shift tonight. Hey, I really just appreciate you being here. How many of you will hear more positives than you'll hear negatives upstairs or in the vicinity? How many of you find yourself speaking more positive? Are you finding the good in everything? Or are you doing what we call victim mentality? There's what's called victim mentality, and sometimes in service it gets in the way, and it can impact all of these 6 pillars of customer service. Victim mentality basically says, I don't have control over things. Things are happening to me. This isn't fair. Has anybody ever heard that? This isn't fair. And you think to yourself, why are they always picking on me? I'm hoping that that isn't the experience here, because you guys have such a great reputation within the community that this is a positive place to be. And so again, looking at how do I stay within my own mentality to feel as though I have control. Victim mentality gets people stuck, and they feel as though they have to do stuff instead of they get to do things. And that optimism is important. So you have what's called above the line thinking or below the line thinking in customer service leadership. When you're above the line, my friends, you're optimistic. Okay? When you're below the line, you see everything as a problem. When you're above the line, you see situations as opportunities to solve them. When you're below the line, you want to blame other people. Who's ready to blame somebody for something? Because I'm going to tell you right now, it's so much easier to blame somebody for other things, right? So, sometimes people like to blame other organizations. McDonald's got blamed for hot coffee getting spilled on someone. Somebody else got blamed for something else. Somebody else had this type of thing. Who loves to blame? You're like, I'm not going to admit that in front of everybody here. But your community or your organization basically says, no, let's hold ourselves accountable. Let's look at what I can do during some of these difficult situations, okay? And continue to move that forward. And what you look at when people ultimately get connected with you, I'm automatically judging you on a couple things. I'm now coming to live here. I'm coming to bring my loved one here. Do you know the minute they step onto your property, they're already determining if this is going to be the place for them. The minute they pull up, they're already trying to look and assess, is this the place for them? What are you currently doing? How many of you will call in or have a family member want to call in? And you want to use language like, you know what, I don't know. If you shift your language and say, that's a great question, let me look into it. That's helping people now see that ultimately you do have some product knowledge and company knowledge. Ultimately, too, listening skills. Who's really good at listening? Okay?
I did customer service for 10 years.
I love it. And you're still doing customer service every single day. Because I'm going to give you a chance to do a listening exercise, my friends. So I'm going to ask you to stand up, because this is the interactive part of the session. And I'm going to ask you to find somebody you do not know very well. Okay, so you can't be connecting with somebody you don't know, somebody you're not sitting by. Find somebody and find a spot. Here you go. Somewhere you like. You guys can find a seat somewhere. Find somebody you don't know very well. You can sit or you can stand. And we're going to find out how strong you are, my friends, in listening. Because we're going to do an exercise with 2 partners. Does everybody have a partner first off? We have a group of 3. It should be even. So we're golden? Okay, excellent. Partner number 1, my friends, what I'm going to ask you to do is you're going to have 1 minute to ask as many questions as you can to get to know your colleague. Okay? You might want to ask them questions about what they believe is good customer service, what they love about working here, what maybe is a challenge for them, maybe things that they do to problem solve. You're going to get a minute to ask as many questions as possible to get you to know your colleague a little bit more. Partner number 2, this is your listening exercise. You're not going to be able to directly answer those questions as they're being asked of you. You're going to try to remember all the questions that are asked of you. Now, how many are like, oh, Lisa, this is going to be really bad. I don't know about this. Listening, my friends, is the key to customer service. So partner number 2, you're going to try to remember all the questions that are being asked of you. Partner number 1, customer service, is good question asking. So again, think about some of those questions that are going to help you understand your colleague. After the minute is up, partner number 2, you'll get a chance to respond back to those questions that you remember. Okay? Did I explain that okay? So partner number 1, you're just going to ask questions. Partner number 2, you're just going to listen and determine who is going to be partner number 1 or partner number 2. Listening skills are key, my friends. Good question asking is key. Partner number 1s, are you ready? Partner number 1, your minute starts now. Good luck.
What floor do you work on? Are you always on the same floor? What's your favorite part? What shift do you work on? You work on the first shift? It's hard to
You work in a specific area that you get to do.
20 more seconds.
What's your guys'
All right, my friends. Your minute. What stood out for you? Partner number 2. Were you say something? No? Anybody got a good question that stood out? That you remember? What'd you remember?
What I like about this field and what brought me to it.
Great question. What do I like about the field? What brought me to it? Partner number 2, anybody else? Something that stood out that you remember? I'm Elise. Lisa, I forgot everything already. Stop stalling. I don't know what I'm supposed to remember. Gets a little pressure. My friends, we only remember 25% of what is said. So my friends, partner number 2, go ahead and answer the questions you remember back to your partner. Good luck.
Someone I didn't know, and she got sicker.
Okay, my friends, hopefully you've had enough time to share some basics, because now you're going to role reverse. Partner number 1, you are now going to be remembering the questions. Partner number 2, you're going to be asking the questions. However, partner number 2, you cannot ask the same questions that were asked of you. Womp, womp, womp. Customer service is about asking good questions and the ability to listen. So, my friends, I'm going to put the minute on the clock, and your minute starts now. Good luck. My friends, how many of you felt like that was the longest minute of your life? Yes. How hard is it to ask questions? It can be challenging, can it? And how hard is it to listen? It can be very challenging as well. And I love hearing I should have went first. Because sometimes we are scared to go first and we want to wait and see what happens. But sometimes if we take the initiative to problem solve, it can be very beneficial for us. So go ahead, my friends, share back whatever you can remember as the questions that were asked of you. Go for it. Finished up with your partner, go ahead and just give them a kudos or an appreciation.
Thank you.
And you can find your spots. My friends, in all the organizations that I work with, I encourage people to get to know their colleagues. Get to have a conversation with your colleagues. Sometimes people go, Lisa, I don't have time to get to know my colleagues. I'm going to tell you right now, you just took approximately 4 minutes. It took 4 minutes to understand a little bit more about people. And when we understand a little bit more about people, it makes it easier for us to have empathy. And it makes it easier for us not to jump into judgment. And it makes it easier for us to say, what can we do together to make this work? Because oftentimes what I hear is sometimes people think their colleagues are out to get them. Oh, they made this decision just to make my life crazy. Oh, they're doing this because, they like this person more than they like this person. How many of you sometimes think people wake up every day saying to themselves, what can I do to make your life hell? You got some people? You're like, I think there are some people that do that. Just one. Are you married to him? Okay,
I've been married for 42 years.
okay, so you're good. You're over that. Okay, just checking, right? But oftentimes we get into this mindset, if we don't know people as well, we want to automatically go right into the poor me syndrome. And we want to jump into this idea of, man, they're just here to make my life difficult. If they would do this paperwork the way they should do it. Oh, if second shift would do it different. Oh, third shift does it different. Oh, you start to hear some of that. And one of the big things is the minute we start having some of that chatter internally, our internal customer service starts to go down. And when our internal customer service goes down, it definitely impacts our residents. Because can you tell when people are experiencing and having a bad day with each other? And can you tell if somebody has conflict with somebody? Who are the avoiders in the room? I got conflict with you, I'm just going to avoid you. Oh, I see you coming. So once in a while I got some conflicts. Is anybody ever like at the store and you see like an X and they're coming down the aisle and you're like, oh, I gotta go. Gotta keep moving. Gotta go somewhere else. How many of you find a colleague coming down the hallway and you're like, oh, she made my life difficult yesterday. I'm just going to avoid her today. Or are you the type of people that say, you know what? Let's understand where she's coming from. I'm going to stop judging, and what can we do to meet in the middle? Because I'm going to ask you not necessarily because people say, well, I just need it done this way. Don't worry about getting stuck in the way that you want to do it. What can we do to make it the best for everybody involved? And what can we do to meet in the middle? Does anybody like to hold grudges? Because sometimes it's fun. How many of you still are holding on to something from like 6th grade? And if you see that person, you're going to let them have it. Getting past some of that can be a challenge for us, but that's what we encourage, is taking time to get to know each other and understand the situation of the problem, especially if you see something different. So is anybody willing to throw out something that you might see differently than somebody else? A situation which you might see differently? Something we might not agree on? Anything that's like, oh, I don't know. This is when we all look at each other. Should I bring something up? Okay. Yeah.
End of life choices, like what we see as a nurse compared to what families see.
Yes. So end of life choices. How many of you want to get up on the soapbox and start telling people the way you see it. And this is the way you should. Who has should on people lately? You should do this, you have to do this, you better do this, this is the way it's got to be, this is how it's going to be. Oftentimes I ask, stop using the word should and start asking, what do we look at? What's going to help? What's going to be impactful? I've thought about this. What have you thought about? What do we need to do to meet in the middle? That could be a big challenge for us. But we oftentimes get stuck in our own value systems. And we often get stuck on, this is the way I would do it. And you should do it too. But that, again, can cause conflict. So we want to have what we consider empathetic listening. Tell me your side. Help me understand where you're coming from. What can you do to make this impactful? When you're stressed out, what are you doing when you're great, even though you're stressed out? So again, empathetic listening becomes important. And my friends, always assume positive intent. This is a great skill. Is anybody watching any of the Brene Brown types of information out there? Anybody a Netflixer? Anybody heard of Brene Brown? She's somebody who looks at this idea of guilt and shame. And she talks about this idea that, you know what, most people start to put in their heads that they might be out to get us. Or, man, they're just not as good. If you can put into the idea that people are doing the best that they can at the time in which they're doing it, it helps reduce some of our judgment. And that helps having that helping factor. So, again, assume positive intent. You know, we like to pick on sometimes our leadership. I'm going to pick on Gretchen for a minute. Gretchen, have you ever made an unpopular decision? I'm going to assume no. Okay?
I think you're really filled in.
Yeah, we got one right there, right? Sometimes it's an unpopular decision, but sometimes we have to ask ourselves, you know what? She's doing the best for the interest of the entire organization. But sometimes it hurts for us, doesn't it? It's like, why is she doing it that way? And we sometimes want to jump into the blame the leadership kind of thing. Ultimately, what I say is people have positive intent. Look at the positive in what's happening and what can I do to be great during that times of change, because that's key. Is it because she likes the Packers, or you want to hold that against her? Okay, I was just checking. You know,
Because I'm rooting for the Chiefs.
oh, is that what it is? You found common ground and making it happen. I love it, right? But oftentimes, you know, again, when you're being great, even though you might not agree with certain things, what are you doing to uphold it and continue to move forward? Because these become key. And this makes you an excellent customer service expert. Do you have that ability to be able to ask some good questions and connect? Are you reliable? Who's the most reliable person in here? Anybody have reliability? Who's the most reliable? I'm hoping you're all raising your hand and saying, I'm the most reliable. Okay?
I'll say I am.
Own it. How many of you say to yourself, you know what, I am reliable? Because if you wake up with a mindset that today I'm going to be reliable and I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do, it's amazing how people will interact with you with a whole different fashion. How many of you wake up and say, you know what, I'm not going to be reliable today? Man, I need to take a mental health day. Which, by the way, sometimes you can do that. But, you know, I'm just going to wait for everybody else to do stuff. I'm going to sit and watch. I'm going to sit back. I want you to be reliable. Reliability is becoming key in the customer experience right now. If you told your resident you were going to do something and you didn't follow through, what happens?
That resident thinks about that and remembers.
They remember.
Yeah.
And how long do they remember for?
Ever.
Forever.
I got caught in that situation and I corrected it, and now that's what she remembers. And I just had a lot going on that day.
Okay. Is it Amy?
Yes.
Amy, you just did the number one thing of an excellent customer service person. You owned a mistake.
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay?
You have to.
You have to. Sometimes people don't because it's hard. And nobody wants to say, you know what, I made a mistake here.
Right.
But I'm going to ask you, we all make mistakes. Because if you're not making a mistake, you're not trying hard enough. Because is anybody in here perfect? If you are, let me know. We're going to write a book and retire early. Okay? Because you're not perfect. And you're going to make mistakes. And especially if things are changing, you're going to make mistakes. But if you can basically say, you know what, I made a mistake. Versus, well, it was her fault. If she would have done this, he didn't do this. This system doesn't do it right. If state wouldn't have come in, everything would have been fine. You said, you know what? I owned it. I went back in. Did you apologize?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Was that hard?
Right. No, not really. Because I thought of it and it's like, I should have done this for that person and, but I got busy and, you
And
know,
you
the
forgot.
guilt
Yeah.
on myself, you know, and I'm like, I gotta do this. And
I got to go back and just
Yeah.
say something. And that is one of the hardest things to do, but is one of the best skills to be able to do. Hey, I'm owning it. And I'm going to go in and I want to make it right. Can I make it right?
back in the day, I never did that. And
Yeah. And will you make that mistake again?
I probably will. I mean, I can't say I'm not gonna. You can't.
And you can't say that. But again, maybe I learned from it.
Yeah.
Because the biggest things, my friends, if you make the same mistake over and over, you're not learning.
Right.
I got to learn from it. So if there's a mistake that happens, just say, what happened? What could I do different next time? And that is one of the best pieces of advice for yourself, and also of giving advice for your colleagues. You know, what could I have done different next time? Because you're doing the best that you could at the time of what you had. So again, what could I do different, and what can I do better next time? Comments on that. Who uses that model? Okay. What worked? What didn't work? What could I do better next time? Because sometimes you're going to have some of those situations. Okay. The other thing, again, now you've had 90 seconds. You've been hanging out with me for about 45 minutes. Who's ready to trust me? I got a couple of you. Who thinks I can help you? I got a couple of you. How many of you think I actually care about you? I got a couple of you. Okay? My friends, you have about 80% of people that are going to love what you do and be encouraged by you and be supported, and they're going to see you. And you're going to have about 20% of people that maybe aren't going to find that excitement in you. Which one do you want to focus your attention on? 80? What can I continue to do to support them? Okay. How many of you have 80% of your residents that love you? They're excited to see you. They get just joyful. How many got 20% that are like, ugh, can you go somewhere else? I only want to work with Emily. Okay? What can we do? So again, be focused on where you're at with that. What impression do you give? What's your first impression with families? When people are coming through, how many of you might stop and just do a quick welcome? Welcome to Stonehill. Okay? How many of you have ever been to Stone Cold Creamery? Can't keep a body like this without ice cream. So I like to go Stone Cold. And the minute I walk into Stone Cold, you want to know how they make me feel special? Hi! Welcome to Cold Stone. Now, has anybody ever been there? Okay. Is that kind of nice when you walk in and they say, hi, welcome to Cold Stone? Some of you are like, oh, maybe it's a little fake. You know, if it's a good, genuine person. Are you acknowledging people? Are you recognizing people? Are you saying something within 10 seconds of seeing them or within 10 feet? Because, again, people are having that impression. If you're out getting into your car in the parking lot and you see somebody new, how many of you just put your head down, walk fast, try to get to the car as quickly as possible so nobody asks you any questions? Or how many of you might say, good morning. Hey, welcome to Stonehill. What do you do? Because, again, that is that piece of getting that first impression. Is it organized? Is ultimately this idea of your area is organized? People are constantly judging on what they see. Do you welcome and smile? Do you go one step further? Who's gone one step further lately to meet a need? Anybody gone one step further that you're willing to share with the rest of your group? Okay. Kathy?
They're just meeting. I work third shift, so when I see family, you know, I introduce myself.
Yeah.
Because we have one passing and family was there and I've never met them before, and it's like, oh, you know, I have heard of you, and
Yeah.
I'm so and so, and
Trying to go
Nice
one
to
step
meet you.
further. Yes, and introducing yourselves.
Mhm.
Love it. You said you had one too. When have you gone one step further?
Yesterday, this church every day at 10:30,
Okay.
and some of the residents have to sit by the elevator because obviously you can't take more than one person.
Yeah.
And I took 2 of them back. They were just sitting there. I'm like, and I know where they live, so I took them back, and they were just so appreciated instead of just sitting there
Yeah.
in
It's-
the middle of nowhere, not, you know, and some of them don't know.
Exactly. It's that little stuff that you do. It doesn't have to be this grandiose. It's the little stuff. Now, I work for Walt Disney. Has anybody heard of him? Yeah, okay. One of the things they talk about is going one step further. There was a child who left a Mickey Mouse doll behind at the Grand Floridian. Left him in the hotel room. Now, Disney talks about this as going one step further. We called it bumping the lamp, okay? The little mouse was left in the room. Parents called down frantic because this child had become attached to this mouse. And ultimately asked the Grand Floridian, have you found the mouse? So they went to housekeeping. Housekeeping had found the mouse, but this housekeeper did this. They took the mouse to the spa, put cucumbers on him, took a picture. Took him out by the peach, put him on the lawn chair, took a little picture. Put him out by the little pond area and had him playing in the sand, took a little picture. That was all the same day that that child lost that mouse. Sent the pictures to the parents via electronic. Said Mickey wanted to extend his stay just a bit further. He'll be coming back home to you in 2 days. So again, one step further. Housekeeper. Housekeeper got kind of the Golden Mouse Award for going one step further. How many of you are like, well, I'm just a housekeeper. I'm just a. Again, are you going one step further? Isn't that cool? How many of you are now going to spend $500 a night to stay at the Grand Floridian? Right? Going that extra step. People are willing. But again, focusing on it. The other things that we talk about is just the language that you use. What are you guys doing to make somebody's day? Has anybody gone to the fish market in Seattle and they talk about making people's days? If you haven't heard of the fish philosophy, this was going big back in the 90s.
Yeah.
The big fish market in Seattle basically said, every person that comes through as a customer, let's try to make it fun. Let's make it interactive. It's a fish market. Has anybody been to a fish market? They stink. It's smelly. It's hard work. They have to do gross things. And they basically said, you know what, let's try to have some fun at work. Let's play. Let's make people's days. Becomes important. The other thing, who's gone through Chick-fil-A lately? They're one of the top customer service representatives, and they're the only fast food chain to make the top customer service organizations. They use what's called neuro-linguistic programming. Some of you are like, what? They talk about the language that you use, the words are powerful. How many of you have ever had somebody say thank you? And the minute they say thank you, you go, oh, that's no big deal. Instead of saying, oh, that was no big deal, you can say, you're welcome. Or what they teach Chick-fil-A to say is, it's my pleasure. And it's amazing when you say, it's my pleasure, how it's wiring your brain to now feel as though this is actually an enjoyable opportunity. So go through the Chick-fil-A if you want and say thank you. And count how many times they'll say, my pleasure, afterwards. And I will put $1 on the side. They say it every single time. Now, sometimes they get it tricky because I wants to go through once in a while, just tally and be like, thank you, my pleasure, thank you, my pleasure, my pleasure. But again, just that's wiring in your brain. Just simple, you know what, that was my pleasure. Versus, no problem. Because you're minimizing it for yourselves. So, my pleasure. Anybody have comments on that?
Where does any time fit in that?
Anytime. What's that mean for you?
Well, I mean, when they say thank you, I say anytime.
Anytime.
Yeah.
So they now know that you're willing anytime to be able to help them out. And are you willing anytime to help them out? Yeah, if you say anytime, be prepared. Be prepared. Okay? So I love it. It works. Again, honor it. The other thing is, what language are you speaking? Oh, I don't know. How many of you love to hear that? Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know if we can do that. I don't think you can. I don't know. Instead of saying, I don't know, you know what? That's a good question. Let me look into it. Do you know everything about everything? Are you expected to know everything about everything? No. Just own when you don't know. Hey, that's a great question. Let me look into it. Or you know what? I love this one. We can't. How many of you hear this? Well, we can't do this because of this. We can't do this because of that. Instead of speaking can't, what can you do? That's a great question. Let me look to see what we can do for you. Okay? Great question. Let me see what we can. Sometimes I get into some of these organizations and they always speak can't. Don't do this. We can't do this. You can't have this. You can't be this. And I even went to an organization that right on their front door coming in, they had a big circle with a slash through it, no cell phones. Like the can't was right when I walk in the door. That's welcoming. Woohoo! So again, just looking at what's the language that they're saying. Or you'll have to. Who uses you'll have to? You'll have to do this. You're going to have to do that. Again, shifting that language. And here's how I can help you with that. Because negative language versus positive language will be impactful and people will see if you want to work together with you. So what's your favorite positive language to use? What do you like to say? What's your favorite positive? When you're stressed out. When you have a situation that maybe isn't going so well. What's your favorite positive language?
I'm gonna get through it.
Hey, you know what? I'm thank you for bringing this to my attention. Let's see what we can get done. And then you're saying to yourself, we can get through this. My friends, you are what's called hope dealers. I said hope. Hope dealers, okay? Hope dealers, which means ultimate times you may be experiencing some stressful situations. And positive language basically says, you know what? We can get through this. We can do this. Things may be feeling like they're falling apart, but we can make this happen. We can get through it. So again, using that type of language becomes important. Other things, my friends, these are some best practices. Never overpromise and underdeliver. How many of you have said yes one too many times and you got yourself caught in it? Okay? We do, because sometimes we want to please everybody. But remember, think about what can I say yes to? And how quickly can I get back to people? The other big thing we talk about is this idea of just simple things like being positive with a social image. Anybody use Facebook, social media, any of that kind of stuff? Some of you do, some of you don't. Anybody like to go out on social media and bash your employer? Because there's sometimes people like to do that. Man, I had a really bad day. Man, this was terrible. Man, my boss was just a pain. Remember, customer service, people are constantly watching what they see. And so if you have issues, talk to those people. Try not to avoid them. Okay? The other thing that we talk about, if you're dealing with a difficult situation, ask yourself, if I'm being great right now, what's this look like? Because how many of you have ever had things not go the way you thought they should go? And you found yourself in the middle of chaos. And you bought the t-shirt that says Chaos Coordinator. And ultimately, you're thinking, what do I need to do to kind of refocus? Well, try not to make excuses. Here's what happened. This is what I'm looking into. You know what? I can see you're upset. I want to help you. Help me understand. By using phrases like, help me understand, or I can see that you're upset, it's amazing how you lower people's defense mechanisms, and they're much more willing to engage with you. Versus, you can't feel like that, you shouldn't feel like that, stop crying, there's no crying in baseball. Ultimately, you have to ask yourself, I can see you're upset. Help me understand what's going on. I'm going to do my best to try to help you resolve this as quickly as possible. I'm going to do my best. Now, make sure you do your best. Just don't lip service this stuff, okay? Try to remain calm. Try to remain objective. What is it that they want? How can I get my point across as well? What do we need to do to meet in the middle? Determine the cause. How many of you realize that sometimes we just have explosive anger because we're stressed? And if somebody were just to say, you know what, okay, I know why the cause is. You didn't mean to blow up. You're just feeling a little overwhelmed. So what is it that we can do to reduce the stress? How many of you have ever heard somebody say, we got to work short tonight? We're working short. Okay? And the minute, see, I'm getting the sighs coming out. The minute I say, what can I say differently? We're working short. I could say this. I got the best team on tonight. We're going to make this happen. How many of you automatically, when you hear, we're going to work short, jump into this idea of, I'm going to be stressed. It's going to be a stressful night. The rest of the night's going to be, Or if I would say, you know what, I got the best team possible. We're going to do the best we can tonight. I have great intent for us. How many of you see it a little bit different? Just the simple language in which we shift. But sometimes stress can be the cause. What is the cause? And then actively listen and negotiate. You know what? Don't think the residents don't see you. Don't think the residents don't hear you. Don't think the residents can't feel if there's pressure within the workplace, okay? Because again, they know what's going on. I can go upstairs right now and ask, hey, is there any conflict between anybody? And they're going to tell me exactly who the conflict is, aren't they? Yes. And they're going to tell me which thing that they don't particularly like and what things people don't like. And the biggest thing that, what's the biggest issue here? If we could change one thing, what would we change? They can tell me. They can see what's going on. So again, sometimes we think we fake it really well, but it can be challenging for us. And then, are you being great? Or are you just responding or reacting? What's the difference? Who's ever been angry? Has anybody ever been angry? Okay, can I swear? Has anybody ever lost their SHIT? Have you lost it? And when you lost it, what happened?
Felt worse.
It's not good.
And then what happened after that? Let's say, what was your first name, my friend?
Kathy.
Kathy, all of a sudden, her and I were disagreeing on something. Because Kathy, I think you need to do it this way, and she thinks I need to do it this way. And all of a sudden, Kathy, you came up to me and you're like, Lisa, this is a bunch of crap. I don't care what you say. I'm not doing it this way. What do I automatically think?
What a bitch.
Thank you, Kathy, for saying what I would have thought. Because how many of you are like, how many would you think that? And then you automatically go to yourself, I gotta find out what's going on with Kathy. Or do I just want to say, Kathy's a B, and I'm gonna just avoid her? You know what, Kathy, I'm never gonna ask you for anything again, because she's gonna blow up at me, blah, 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 blah. And you get the image of being the B, okay? Ultimately, we need to be able to understand, what do we need to do? Because you're feeling bad that you blew up. I'm thinking you're just a B, so I'm gonna avoid you. And how well are we gonna be able to work together? Right down here. So again, determine the cause. Help me understand, Kathy. I realize you were pretty upset. Help me understand what happened. What do we need to do different? How can we get through this? Who's ready to have a crucial conversation with somebody? Think of the person that causes you the biggest pain. And your chance, my friends, is to have a conversation where you try to understand their perspective. And your only goal is to listen to try to understand their perspective. How well will it go? Because we get too busy trying to tell our perspective. Help me understand where you're coming from. Because you know what? We might disagree. So the Chiefs, pretty happy about that. Is anybody giving you a hard time? Few, okay. Are you disagreeing with them?
No, I'm pretty quiet about it.
You're pretty quiet about it. Yep, I can tell. Pretty quiet about it, aren't you?
What universe is that?
Yeah, a little shy about it. Don't want to sport that in any way. But could we disagree?
What?
We could disagree on who's going to win, right?
Sure.
Sure. Will you honor it, even though I have a totally different opinion than you?
Yeah.
Yeah. That becomes the key. Seems like that's straightforward. Why is that so hard for other people? But again, in service, we'd be able to honor and appreciate differences. I actually got a call because I got called in to coach somebody. Somebody stepped over the line and harassed, according to this person, somebody about their team. It was the Packer-Bear team. So when they play the Packers and the Bears, there's always a little rivalry. There was somebody who decided to go a little step further, and they used to put like pictures like the Bears suck and all this kind of stuff in their cubicle. Thought he was kind of funny. All of a sudden they defamed Walter Payton, and the person called and said there's some harassment that's happening. So we had to get to the bottom of it, of what is the expectation, how far can you go before teasing becomes harassment, and what can we do to agree to disagree. And so sometimes we joke and we say, well, I was just teasing or just, trying to be sensitive. Remember, there's that fine line between teasing and harassment. We can joke to a point until somebody finds it offensive, and that becomes an issue. So in customer service, be thinking about, too, what can we do to agree to disagree, and can we honor other people's opinions, even though they might be different from ourselves? Because, again, we want to build on the good, my people. Build on the good. Why are you here? What's your goal? And do you live it every single day? And how can I try to add value to somebody's life today? You guys have added value to my life today just by being here. And just by continuing the mission of your organization, because like I said, you have a very good reputation in your community. When I'm always asking people, where would you go if you needed to have someone in an extended cares facility, they always give your name. So you're doing things really, really well. So I'm very proud to be able to be here because of the awesomeness that you bring to the table. I'm hoping you can add value to somebody else's life as well today. And add value to your colleague's life, but also your resident's life, your community life, and your personal life. Because when we go the extra mile, people see you as caring, compassionate individuals. And that, I think, is the role and the image you're trying to uphold. Remember, my friends, you shine. Know your strengths, have heart, share your ideas, network, and empower each other. Stop judging, start helping becomes the mantra of excellent customer service. So it is now officially 1 hour. Thank you for taking some time with me today. Anybody have any comments or questions, concerns or issues? Homework for the day. Only say positive things all day. See how it goes. Only see the positive. Even if things aren't going the way you thought, look at it as what can I do to be great, even though it's a little challenging. And thank you guys so much. Thank you.